Mr. Boehner sat down with Brian Williams, offering some insights into his governing philosophy and his personal life. The man, described by Republicans who know him as one of the laziest people in Congress, was asked where he gets the strength to do what he does.
When you go home next, is there a sidewalk, a place, a person that's kind of a talisman to grab onto? Again, talking about strength in the new job.
Well, I get strength every day, just going to my Facebook site.
Mr. Boehner was also asked about his philosophy of governing, what the government should do for people. He said he believes in the social safety net, but then he gave a stunningly clear outline of who it is he thinks needs the social safety net, despite figures showing more people are forced into bankruptcy by catastrophic medical costs than by anything else. Mr. Boehner thinks it's people who are unable to compete in the job market and suggests that there are some Americans, he doesn't identify whom, who will not compete.
I believe in the safety net. You know, we live in a competitive society. We live in a capitalist society. For those who can compete and do well, fine. Some Americans can't compete. I think we have a responsibility as a people to help those who can't compete. But do we have a responsibility to help those who won't compete? I would have serious doubts about that.
A new Rolling Stone profile of Mr. Boehner chronicles his life living on the dime of rich patrons, spending almost $83,000 on golfing in 2009, renting an apartment for years from a health insurance lobbyist, running up a $67,000 tab at the Ritz-Carlton Golf Resort in Naples, Florida. With us now, the author of that profile, Rolling Stone contributing editor Matt Taibbi, the author most recently of Griftopia, Bubble Machines, Vampire Squids, and The Long Con That Is Breaking America. Good to see you, Matt.
Good to see you, Keith.
As I said before, I'm really beginning to like this guy.
He's going to be a lot of fun.
Who are the Americans who can't compete versus the ones who won't compete? Do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing that he would say it so openly, but I know when I go to cover Tea Party events, I inevitably end up talking to people who are on Medicare or collecting unemployment insurance or government pensions, but they're railing against government welfare, and I say, well, do you see any contradiction there? Well, no, I deserve this. I work hard. It's those other people. And we know who they mean when they say other people. It's Mexican immigrants and non-white, inner-city, Democratic-leaning voters. And so it's coded language when he uses that kind of language. But in Boehner's case, what's so funny about it, the people who can't compete, I think, in his eyes are, if you go by his TARP vote, it's J.P. Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs and Bank of America. I mean, those are the people he's talking about when he talks about a social safety net, I think.
Right, yes, to preserve the banks of America.
Right.
Our corporate citizens.
Right.
You also in the piece describe him as kind of an archetype of the Washington insider. What makes him so?
Well, you think about what exactly is it that people in Congress do these days. The people who do the job best in Beltway terms are the people who play a lot of golf, raise tens of millions of dollars for their campaign contributors, and then when the time comes that the people who pay them that money need a favor, they deliver enormous, expensive giveaways and subsidies and programs like Medicare Part D, which John Boehner helped author, No Child Left Behind, and the bailouts, the TARP, all those things. That's what they do. They're essentially bagmen. They take money and they deliver for the people who give them the money. And John Boehner does that job better than anybody in Washington, and that's why he's in the Speaker's chair today.
You also describe him as sort of the last stand of Bush Republicanism against this growing tide of public anger. Does that mean inevitably there's a clash with the Tea Party ahead where they turn on him?
Absolutely. And unless he has a complete, it's going to be fun. Unless he has a complete political conversion. I talk to people like Chris Littleton at the Ohio Liberty Council, which are, heads the Tea Party groups in his own state, and they're very, very impatient with this current group of Republicans. And if they don't get serious about cracking down on spending soon, and I'm talking like within the next couple of months, they're going to start raising hell. Whether it's John Boehner or somebody else in that crew, they're going to start demanding that these people, leave office.
So the question in your piece that you pose is clown or tyrant. So answer it for us precisely.
Well, see, I think a tyrant has to have real political power, and I just don't see that John Boehner really represents any actual people anymore, except for people in Washington and these political patrons, the money guys. The actual people out there in the population, he doesn't have a base anymore. So I think he's more a figure of fun, and he's going to be a lot of fun for the pundits of this country for as long as he's crying on television and saying dumb things.
Yes, he is. He does have all the gavel collectors, though. The giant souvenir, Matt Taibbi, the contributing editor at Rolling Stone and the author of the upcoming piece out this week on Speaker Weeper Boehner. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.